Hi. I just wrapped up filming the raw footage of this and I'm about to sit down and start editing it. I've already got about 10 to 12 hours in. This was a really ambitious project, and it's actually a repeat of a project I tried a couple of months ago. And this time it turned out a little bit differently. But I hope you enjoy, and if it's really long, it probably means that I fell asleep while I was editing. The Mini Guitar Society presents P90s in a Mini, Take 2. Alright, day 1, 6-something in the morning, and I've decided to be ambitious. This is a P90 pickup. It has my favorite sound of any pickups and guitars, and I want to put it in this guitar. And you may have noticed the pickups in there are not quite the same size. So the first thing I have to do is take everything apart. The good news about this project is that the guitar wood is already cut out for something this size. It almost fits perfectly. That's the neck pickup. But as you can see, I can get both of them in there with little to no trouble. It's at this point that little to no trouble comes to an end. The first problem is that the pick guard is not large enough for them, so it'll have to be cut out. I use toothpicks to make sure that it's in the right place, and then position the pickups underneath it, and then screw them into the body. That way they're not going to move. That stays constant throughout this whole project. I don't think it looks too bad right now, but I still want to make sure to put a pick guard on top of it. But I only have one chance to get it right. I couldn't measure it meticulously, but then I'm guaranteed to get it wrong. I devise a plan. I'll just cut little tiny holes out of the sides until I reach the edge of the pickups when I hold the pick guard over. Then I'll mask it off and know where the square should be. Then I elevate it so I can cut it with my Dremel, and I finally found a use for my yoga blocks. Now it's just a matter of routing and trimming and routing and trimming and routing and trimming until I finally get to a point where I have it looking relatively good. Every so often I pick it up and I put it over the pickups just to see where I stand, and then I go back to cutting more off. You can always take more off, but you can't always put more back on. This process takes a while. Actually, it takes place over a couple of days, but I wore the same shirt because I wanted people to be more impressed that I could knock this out in a relatively short period of time. I couldn't. This is where it went off the rails last time, and so I wanted to make sure that I took my time. So, let's see how well that one came out. Couple little marks here and there, but overall, not nearly as bad as it's been in the past. I'm still a little disappointed in some of the rough edges, so I put a different bit on the Dremel and I go to town trying to make sure to clean it up as much as I can. Now that I'm getting the hang of the technique, it actually moves a little smoother. And by the time it's all said and done, it really looks much, much better. I really wish that meant that the hard part was done, but I'm not even a quarter of the way through yet. The next challenge is a pick guard. I practice on a couple of old ones, but I'm not really good with vinyl coating. I have a tendency to leave a lot of bubbles behind. All right, well, the good news is I was doing it wrong. And the only way to know that I was doing it wrong is to know how to do it right. The final product doesn't turn out too bad. You can barely see the space where the extra pickup would have been. At this point, I realize it's probably not going to hold up to close inspection, but I can live with that because nobody's going to be that close. Besides, once I get my skills down, I can always come back and make a new pick guard. The most important thing is getting the pickups installed correctly so that it sounds good, because to me, it's all about the feel and it's all about the sound, and then I'll worry about how it looks. That's the great thing about guitars. The only people that don't really have to see them are the people that are playing them. It's kind of like owning an ugly car. It may bother your neighbors, but it probably doesn't bother you that much. So now it's time to wire everything up. Once again, I get to solder around switches and wire in pickups and make sure the volume pots work, and I check everything out. Before I finally assembled everything, I run it through the sound test and it fails. So I have to go back and fix the output jack. Seems to be a common theme among these minis. But I finally get the hang of it. I get it hooked up, get all the parts in place, and I've gone from this, which is what it looked like when I started, to looking like this now. Couldn't be happier. And the sound? Well, for that, you're just going to have to wait until after dark.